San Diego Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. Today the Padres take on the Colorado Rockies in the second game of a three-game series. Our starting pitching matchup for the Rockies, right-hander Cal Quantrill, and for the Padres, right-hander Dylan Cease. Hi, good everyone. Sam Levitt here inside the loft at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park. First pitch coming up at 6:40 as the Padres continue this three-game series and this six-game homestand. Coming up in the next 50 minutes, we'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. We'll check in with Jesse Agler in just a little bit as well. We've got a lot to do. We'll also hear from Padres third baseman Manny Machado. And a little bit later, I talk with Padres hitting coach Victor Rodriguez about Xander Bogaerts. So a lot to do on a jam-packed EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. But first, let's set the table. Brought to you by Fraser Farms Market. Set your table with the highest quality of natural and organic products from Fraser Farms Market, a San Diego original since 1971 with 3 locations, La Mesa, Vista, and Oceanside. Padres enter today with a record of 22-22. Padres have won 8 of their last 12 games. They've won 4 consecutive series. Padres have to win today to have a chance at keeping that series winning streak going. Meanwhile, the Rockies are just 13-28, but the Rockies have won 5 in a row before this 4-game win streak. The Rockies had not won consecutive games this season. Rockies looking for their first winning streak of at least 6 games since an 8-game streak in 2019. It's been a while since the Rockies have had a winning streak like this. Dylan Cease on the mound today for the Padres. He ranks in the top 10 among major league pitchers in ERA, opponent batting average, strikeouts, much more on Cease coming up later. Before we continue previewing today's game, let's take a quick look back at what became a frustrating Monday night for the Padres.
How did the Padres fare in their last game? Let's take a look back with our Padres Rewind. Presented by Hamul Casino. With thrilling slots and tables and all the best rewards, Hamul Casino has all the fun you're looking for. Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
The Padres trailed 5-1 heading to the bottom of the 6th inning last night. Rockies starter Dakota Hudson had been really good to that point. There was a runner on base for Jerkson Profar.
Machado at first with 2 down. Padres trail by 4. First pitch swinging. Profar launches one deep to right field. This one gonna go. A 2-run homer for Profar. And just like that, this is a 5-3 game in the bottom of the 6th.
Padres were down 5-3 going to the bottom half of the 7th inning. Jackson Merrill led off.
Claw their way back into this one. 1-0, hit in the air, deep to right field, way back, no doubter, Jackson Merrill. Padres have hit their 3rd home run of the night, and we got ourselves a 1-run ball game in the bottom of the 7th inning.
Then the real trouble began. The Padres would have runners on first and second with nobody out after 2 walks later in that inning. They did not score. Padres trailed 5-4 in the 8th. The Rockies loaded the bases on walks, but the Padres didn't score again. Padres trailed by a run going to the 9th inning. The Rockies loaded the bases on walks again. The tying run on third base, the winning run on second. There was 1 out, and Manny Machado at the plate.
First pitch. Machado swings, bounces it to third. McMahon to second, that's 1. Rogers' turn to first is in time, and a game-ending double play. The Padres draw 8 walks in the last 3 innings. None of those came in to score, and the Rockies hold on for a 5-4 win.
The Rockies walked 8 batters in the final 3 innings. The Padres could not score any of them. They went 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position in the final 3 innings. A really tough series opener for San Diego. Final score last night, the Rockies 5 and the Padres 4. Now the Padres trying to bounce back in Game 2 of this 3-game series. First pitch coming up at 6:40. As always, if you want to get involved on our pregame coverage, you can do that in a number of different ways. You can tweet at me or Instagram DM me at SammyLev, SammyLev. You can also find me on our new brand fancy new video streams on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Comment on there. And if you have a key to today's game, let me know what it is. I may just read your key here on the air, and we'll have my keys to the game coming up a little bit later as well. As we walk you up towards first pitch coming up at 6:40, let's go inside the Padres radio booth.
Let's go inside the Padres broadcast booth for a deep dive on today's matchup from Jesse Agler in our Padres game preview on the Padres Radio Network.
We go down the way here at Petco Park. We're joined by Jesse Agler as we get ready for tonight's game. And Jesse, before we get to this game in particular, I want to get your take on this because obviously after the weekend, winning 2 out of 3 against LA, I think everybody was feeling pretty good about where this team was at, and funny what 24 hours can do. A tough loss yesterday for the Padres, back to 500 at 22-22. Jesse, as I take phone calls after the game, hear people's frustration about a game like last night, how do you, as a broadcaster, as somebody that watches these games day in, day out, how do you balance looking at each game individually, understanding what comes along with it, but also understanding that this is a very, very long season and it can be a very windy road along the way?
Yeah, it's a fascinating question, Sam, and one you and I could probably spend like 3 hours talking about, which we won't do. I'll try to give it to you as succinctly as I can. I guess, for what I do, you got to be aware of all angles, right? You've got to be aware that last night to the fans was a very, very frustrating night for a lot of reasons. But you've also got to be aware of that it's 1 of 162. You try and keep your eyes out for patterns. Maybe you first notice a pattern, but you don't bring it up, a troubling thing or a good thing, and then you wait to see if it develops any further. Last year, the troubles with runners in scoring position would be a great example of that. We noticed it pretty early on, and you kind of said to yourself, all right, it's only April, it's only May, whatever. Eventually, you have to come face to face with the reality that it was a thing last year, and then you kind of dive into it from that. So, you're sort of always kind of looking at the big picture while understanding that for the people who pay very good money to be in the building, the people who are nice enough to join us on radio and television every night, they care about the result of the game that they are watching or listening to. That is, the reality of being a fan. So, I try and bring a sense of balance to the broadcast. I don't want to speak for Tony, but I think he's very much kind of the same mind. And so you'll often hear us on the broadcast, having bigger picture conversations, even in the midst of important little things, right, and vice versa. And I think that's kind of the approach we have to have. Being overly emotional or reactionary to every frustrating thing or every wonderful thing that happens is for the fans. That's what fans are entitled to do, and most do, and they should. But for what we do, it's a little bit different. We are fans, don't get me wrong, but I think a big part of our job is to try and provide perspective, both directions, when it's appropriate.
Well said, and obviously a headline for tonight's game, right-hander Dylan Cease on the mound for the Padres. He continues to be terrific in the early part of his Padres career. And Jesse, I suppose, as a fan, as you call these games, watch these starts from Dylan Cease, what have you enjoyed about watching when it comes to Dylan Cease on the mound so far as he continues to be terrific?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that it looks like he could throw a no-hitter any night. Anytime you can say that about a guy, you're going to enjoy the experience. We saw him late last year, that final weekend of the season against the Padres. And you knew he was having kind of a down year last year, but you also remembered everything that he did in 2022, when he got Cy Young votes, and he was just sort of known as one of the best pitchers in the American League. And, when they made that acquisition right before we went to Korea, I was obviously excited about it. I was fired up. I knew the guy was a high-caliber arm. But you do gain a very different appreciation getting to watch him every 5 days. And, there have been some Blake Snell comparisons out there, right, just because of the nastiness of the stuff. At times in Dylan's career, he had, a little bit of the walk thing the way that Blake has, although that's not been the case this season. I tell you what, though, he does it, I always hate this word, a little bit more effortlessly from my perspective than Blake did. Blake always looked like every single pitch was the most important pitch of his life. Dylan Cease, it's kind of like he gets it, he throws it, he gets the result, he gets it back, and he throws it again. It's a very different sort of fluidity out there, kind of like the way we talk about Machado and Arenado. Manny just makes it look so smooth and so easy, whereas Arenado, every time he makes a great play, it's like he's pulling his heart out of his chest with his bare hands. And
right.
Look, both guys get it done, and they're both, generational talents, but Manny's just so smooth and makes it look so easy, and that's kind of how I would compare Dylan Cease to Blake Snell. They get a lot of the same swing and miss. They get a lot of the same results. Dylan just makes it look so easy out there, which is pretty remarkable because we know that it's not.
I'm totally with you. Makes it look very easy. He's been dominant as of late, coming off that great start in Chicago last week. We'll see what Dylan Cease does as an encore here today. Jesse, as always, appreciate the time. Enjoy this one, and we'll talk to you and Tony coming up at 6:30. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Sam.
All right, that is Jesse Agler joining us here on the Padres Radio Network as we get ready for tonight's game. First pitch at 6:40. We go out to Jesse and Tony at 6:30. We have an absolutely jam-packed EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. When we come back, we'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt, plus a little bit later, a lot of conversation about Manny Machado swinging at the first pitch in that key at-bat last night in the 9th inning. Well, we hear from Manny on that at-bat and much, much more. Plus, I also caught up with Padres hitting coach Victor Rodriguez earlier today. We have a good back and forth about Xander Bogaerts as well. So a lot to get to on our pregame coverage. First pitch coming up at 6:40. Much more to come after this on the Padres Radio Network. Welcome back to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show on the Padres Radio Network. Your water perfected. EcoWater SoCal. Your water should be perfect. Find them online at EcoWaterSoCal.com. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park. First pitch coming up at 6:40 on this Tuesday night. Plenty of people here inside the loft enjoying their beers and their mixed drinks, some food. We have the bobbleheads out as well. Today, of course, is Joe Musgrove and Theo Bobblehead Day. Joe Musgrove along with his dog, Theo. Really cool bobblehead, so a lot of people here early enjoying that and getting ready for a great night of baseball here at Petco Park. As we get ready for first pitch coming up at 6:40, let's hear from the Padres skipper.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Presented by Sinley Food. Spice up your culinary life.
Something we talked about last night, Jackson Merrill really having a couple of nice games in a row. Had 3 hits in the one on Sunday against the Dodgers. Had 2 more hits yesterday, including his 3rd home run of the season. Really well-struck ball to right field. Here was Mike Shildt earlier today on Jackson Merrill.
Yeah, I alluded to it earlier. Obviously got to a great start of the season. And then, as you would expect, because this game is hard, regardless of whether you're 20 or 21 or 36, and anywhere in between, the game can be a challenge. And so, and the league adjusts to you. This league's always been a game of a league of adjustments. The adjustments now take place way quicker in this league. They actually take it. It used to be where you go around and Tony and Scan can speak to this. You go around to the league and the league figures you out one time through. Guys come up from AAA and the league's 3/4 of the way from figuring you out already, and then it's a matter of seeing in real time what you do and how you react to things. So the league with the video and the technology made some adjustment to Jackson, and then now what's the next step to your progression as a consistent everyday big league player, and that's making the counter adjustment. And Jackson's clearly been able to do that, and it's impressive.
In the Padres lineup today, Manny Machado back in there batting cleanup and playing third base for his 2nd consecutive day. Mike Shildt was asked earlier today when the Padres know if Manny can play third base based on how he's feeling day to day right now.
Well, we've known pretty much the night he's left the ballpark. It is fluid though. But for the most part, after the game, him and our medical staff will confer, and I'll have a conversation with him. And, we're getting to the point now where we're thinking about, what's the series look like? But we're not married to it, just like we were married to it earlier in the year. But there's a clarity right after the game, how you feeling, how you recovering, what do you think? Now, there are circumstances where you say, I might not know till the next day, and we make that decision. But pretty typically, we know after the game.
That was Mike Shildt before today's game. We'll hear more from Mike on our post-game show coming up later as the Padres get ready to take on the Colorado Rockies at 6:40. Let's tell you who's hot, who's not.
Which player is locked in at the dish? Who needs to kick things up another notch? This is Who's Hot, Who's Not on the Padres Radio Network.
We begin with the hot category for the Padres. Couple of guys in there today. Jackson Merrill, 3 hits like we said on Sunday, 2 hits and a home run last night. Merrill is 10 for 26 with a couple of home runs in his last 8 games. Jurickson Profar, a 2-run home run last night. His last 18 games batting .364 with a .1038 OPS, 5 home runs in those 18 games. Charlie Blackmon for the Rockies, 9 for 22 with 4 extra base hits, 9 RBIs in a 6-game hitting streak. Brenton Doyle, 7 for 19 with 4 extra base hits in his last 6 games. Also for the Rockies, Ezekiel Tovar, 10 for his last 30 with 5 extra base hits in a 7-game hitting streak. And another Rocky in the hot category. A lot of guys hitting well in this lineup right now. Brendan Rodgers in the midst of an 8-game hitting streak, batting .387 in that span. As far as the not category, we focus on Manny Machado, batting just .167 in the last 14 games, a span of 54 at-bats. Manny is 0 for his last 14, 1 for 22 in the past 6 games. Like I said earlier, we'll hear from Manny coming up a little bit later. We'll see if Manny can get it going here today. And that's a look at who's hot, who's not as we get ready for first pitch coming up at 6:40 for Game 2 of this 3-game series. When we come back, we'll hear from the guy we just talked about, Manny Machado. Plus, I also chat with Padres hitting coach Victor Rodriguez about Xander Bogaerts. We have our keys to the game and a full breakdown of this pitching matchup between Dylan Cease and Cal Quantrill. First pitch at 6:40 here at Petco Park on the Padres Radio Network. Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the Western Metal Building here at Petco Park as we get ready for first pitch coming up at 6:40. Padres taking on the Colorado Rockies. Right-hander Dylan Cease on the mound tonight for the Padres. We'll hear from Manny Machado coming up in just a handful of minutes, so stay tuned for that. First, let's give you an update on Joe Musgrove.
Who's in, who's out? This is the Bada Fulkerson Injury Report, presented by San Diego's Bulldog Injury Attorneys, who hope you're never in an accident. But if you are, make Bada Fulkerson the first call you make. Hit them up 24/7 at badafulkerson.com.
The update on Joe is this. Joe Musgrove threw a bullpen yesterday, and it seems like if all continues to go well, that Joe could return this weekend in Atlanta. Here was the update on Joe from Mike Shildt earlier today.
My understanding is Joe bounced back pretty well. I haven't spoken to Joe specifically, but I have gotten positive feedback. And, as far as the plans go, I think he's tracking in a pretty good direction to be able to come back in the timetable we were expecting. But, we also needs to throw in again tomorrow for further determination.
So we'll continue to monitor how Joe is doing after he throws tomorrow. But again, seems like things may be trending in the direction of him returning this weekend. You certainly hope so. And that is the latest update on Joe Musgrove, who, of course, is on the IL right now, dealing with a tricep tendinitis. And we'll see if Joe can come back this weekend in Atlanta. That's the quick injury report on this Tuesday. Let's take a quick look at the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the Bigs and tell you about the scores you need to know in our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Meat, where great taste meets integrity.
We take a look at games today around the major leagues. We have a few finals, bunch of games going on right now. Phillies beat the Mets in New York 4-0. Aaron Nola picks up the win in that one, struck out 8 in a shutout for the Phillies. Nationals beat the White Sox in Game 1 of a doubleheader, 6-3. We'll tell you about Game 2 in a second. Marlins beat the Tigers 1-0 in Detroit in 10. Games going on right now. Rays and the Red Sox tied at 3, 8th inning at Fenway Park. Braves leading the Cubs 7-0 in Atlanta in the 7th inning. Yankees ahead of the Twins 5-1 in Minnesota in the 5th inning. Brewers ahead of the Pirates 4-2 in Milwaukee in the 5th inning. Guardians 6, Rangers 1, 2nd inning in Arlington. Game 2 of that doubleheader in Chicago. White Sox 3, Nationals 0, 4th inning there. Astros ahead of the A's 1-0 in Houston in the 3rd. Game still to come. Cardinals and the Angels at 6:40. Reds in Arizona taking on, or I should say Reds and the Diamondbacks in Arizona at 6:40. Royals and the Mariners in Seattle at 6:40. Dodgers and the Giants in San Francisco at 6:45. We did have one rainout today. Blue Jays and the Orioles in Baltimore. They'll make up that game in late July. And that is a quick look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Tuesday. Well, yesterday, after the game, a lot was made of Manny Machado swinging at the very first pitch in that at-bat against Justin Lawrence with the bases loaded. The tying run 90 feet away, the winning run on second base amidst all the struggles with runners in scoring position yesterday for the Padres. Manny talked earlier today inside the Padres clubhouse about that pitch he swung at last night and more.
Yeah, that situation, up and in, good pitch to drive. I just, got the head out, hit it to the wrong guy.
How disappointing is 11 walks and all those opportunities and not being able to win?
Yeah, like I said, I've said it all along, all year. I'm continuing to say, as long as we keep having those opportunities, that's a good thing to have. So let's keep doing it. Sometimes we're going to have some good days and drive them all in, and some days we're going to have like 8 days last night. It was just a little harder for us to get them in. But let's just keep creating those opportunities, getting walks, getting on base for the next guy, passing the baton, and trusting your teammate is going to have your back to pick you up.
You've had success throughout your career, swinging first pitch in a situation like that where a guy's
I'm never going to stop. I'm going to keep doing it.
Right.
Done it my entire career. I'm not going to stop now. Why now? So it's a good pitch. I just hit it right to the guy. It's just how baseball is. There's 8 defenders out there, or actually 7.
Is part of the thought process there too? I mean, you had walked a bunch of guys before you. Like, I might not get a better pitch than that first one.
I mean, listen, you look at that bat, he threw strikes. He walked guys. Yeah, he walked guys, but it was on 3-2 counts. I mean, he was throwing strikes. It wasn't like he was going 4 balls, go to first. Next guy, 4 balls, go to first. 4 balls, go to first. I mean, that was a situation, yeah, for sure. You go and you take a pitch, but I mean, guys were getting pitches to hit. Toddy got some pitches to hit, just fouled them off, and then Crony got some pitches to hit as well, fouled them off. So, I mean, that's not a situation you go up there and you take a pitch. I mean, that's probably gonna be the best pitch he would have thrown me. I just didn't execute. That's what it was, and if the situation comes again, and the pitch is right there again, I'm gonna make the same swing. Hopefully, I make the adjustment and I get it in the air, or I even hit it out of the ballpark like I wanted to. But not ground into a double play.
How are you adjusting to kind of you've been DHing some days, third base some days. How has it all felt, and kind of how are you feeling overall, both defensively and offensively?
It's good days, bad days. It's just a grind that I'm gonna be dealing with all year, and just go out there and just try to get my best every single day. It feels good to be back on the field. I'm excited about that. I've been playing some defense. That's been exciting every day to go out there and get some dirt on my cleats. So it's been fun. I've been ramping up a little bit. Getting some multiple days in a row as well. So I'm building myself up to be out there every single day and
talk a little bit.
I'm excited for sure.
You've informed us that you're never 100% during the course of a season. But do you feel like coming back from this, is the elbow aspect of it getting better as you go?
It is. Yeah, it is. There's good days, there's bad days. It's a surgery, obviously. So it's gonna be a roller coaster that you're gonna have to ride and overcome some of those things. But ultimately is I like to have fun. Go out there, have fun, enjoy myself, give my 100% that day, and and trust my teammates are going to pick me up, and I'm going to pick up my teammates when they're down too. So I think that's what Shilt's been incorporating in here. I think it's a team aspect. It's going to take all of us to win games. And look, our big guys we're not swinging it too all. Let's be honest. We're not playing at our highest level, and we're at 500. We're playing some good baseball. We're winning games. We're beating tough teams. We're doing what we need to be doing, and we're not even going yet. So, it speaks volumes of this team. So, we just got to continue riding that.
You have a lot of confidence in yourself as a player. Do you expect to be the player that can really carry this team as you've done in the past?
Absolutely. There's no question about it.
Because of your history.
Just because I know who I am. Just who I know. I know where my swing's going to be. I know where I'm going to be, and it's a long season ahead of me, and I'll be back. I'll be where I need to be when we need to be.
That was Manny Machado earlier today inside the Padres clubhouse. Like we said earlier, Manny back in the lineup here tonight, DHing and playing third base. Again, we'll hear from Padres hitting coach Victor Rodriguez coming up in a little bit. I had a really good extended conversation today with Victor Rodriguez. We won't play all of it today, but we will play the part of it about Xander Bogaerts. Bogaerts hitting the ball better the last couple of days, a couple of home runs in the last 2 games. First, let's give you our keys to the game.
How will the Padres unlock a victory in today's game? These are the keys to the game. Presented by Honor Buick GMC Hummer in National City.
Key number 1, take advantage of the walks. The Padres walked 11 times last night. Only one of those walks ended up scoring. With this Rockies pitching staff, you're likely to get walked, and here's why. The Rockies bullpen walks nearly 5 batters per 9 innings. That's the second highest walks per 9 innings ratio of any bullpen in the major leagues this season. Padres are probably going to walk at least a few times tonight. Got to take advantage in this one. Key number 2, runners in scoring position. The Padres have gone 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position in 3 consecutive games. Exactly 0 for 6 on Saturday, Sunday, and last night. So that's 0 for 18 with RISP in the last 3 games. Padres batting .262 with runners in scoring position on the year. That's That's middle of the pack among major league teams. Bottom line is this: Padres have to be better moving forward with runners in scoring position. And key number 3, a dominant Dylan. Dylan Cease has been simply outstanding for the Padres so far. We'll get more into his overall numbers in our next segment, but Cease currently has the lowest opponent batting average in Major League Baseball at 128, and he's coming off a tremendous outing against the Cubs in Chicago. After last night's loss, and considering the opponent here tonight, the Rockies, the Padres need Cease to do what we think he should do against this lineup tonight, and that's be great. We'll see if Dylan Cease can do it, and that's a look at our keys to the game. When we come back, we'll take a deeper dive into our pitching matchup between Cal Quantrill and Dylan Cease. Plus, I catch up with Padres hitting coach Victor Rodriguez. We talk in depth about Xander Bogaerts and what he's been going through his last couple of days and more. First pitch coming up at 6:40 here at Petco Park. We continue our pregame coverage after this on the Padres Radio Network. Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park as we get ready for Game 2 of this 3-game series between the Padres and the Colorado Rockies. Padres trying to bounce back last night after what was a frustrating loss against the Rockies, to say the least. We'll see if they can do it here today with right-hander Dylan Cease on the mound against right-hander and former Padre draft pick Cal Quantrill. We'll hear from Padres hitting coach Victor Rodriguez in just a little bit, so stay tuned for that. Really good conversation with Victor earlier today, and a good bit of information on Xander Bogaerts as well. Before we get to that, let's tell you what to watch for in tonight's game.
What's the one thing Sam Levitt will be keeping his eye on in today's game? This is What to Watch For. Presented by Genesis Home Improvements, San Diego's trusted painting, roofing, and window company. Save 15% today on a new beginning for your home. Visit GenesisHomeImprovementsSD.com.
What to watch for in today's game? The running Rockies. The Rockies stole 3 bases last night. They were very aggressive. The Rockies have stolen 8 bases in their last 4 games. For context, the Rockies stole just 11 bases combined in their first 37 games of the year. But with that said, consider this. Dylan Cease has not allowed a stolen base this season. He's thrown the second most innings of any pitcher in the majors this year without allowing a stolen base this year. So the Rockies are running a lot lately, but Dylan Cease has been just about as good as anybody at not allowing stolen bases. Who wins out today? The Rockies running a lot, or Dylan Cease not letting anybody run? That's what to watch for in today's game. We'll see how that Rockies running game works out for them today in Game 2 of this 3-game set. Earlier today, I had a really, really good conversation with Padres hitting coach Victor Rodriguez. We talked about a number of different topics, and we'll play some clips for you over the next few days here. But one of the really interesting parts of our conversation was about Xander Bogaerts. Now, of course, Victor Rodriguez was a hitting coach on the Boston Red Sox staff when Xander came up to the major leagues. Now they've reconnected here in San Diego. Here was part of my conversation with Padres hitting coach Victor Rodriguez. This part focused on Xander.
You were on that Red Sox staff when he first came up. You saw his early years in Boston. Now you two reconnect here in San Diego. Obviously, before the last couple of days, he's had 2 home runs in 2 days entering today. A bit of a tough start for Xander. In your eyes, what are the keys to Xander turning his season around early on?
I think with Xander, getting to know him and being around him since he was 16 years old is a part of trust and patience that I seen him struggle in the past, but because I know him and the work habits that he have, I knew that Xander Bogaerts was going to come out and come out big. So people that don't know him get impatient and probably even stressed that Xander Bogaerts is not producing like he's capable. But the chance that I have to be around him and seeing him through his career, 5 silver slugger, they don't give it away in Walgreens. That means he's a good hitter. And, a lot of time they struggle and seems like the struggle is a long time, but, when it's 162 games, you see the results later because he's a guy that want to play, want to help, and want to win. So, and he's done that. So with him, it's about being patient and continue to understand and let him know that we know who he is and we know that he can get back to who he is, and pretty soon we're going to see that.
You mentioned the silver sluggers for a guy like Xander, what he's done over the course of his career. How do you balance when you're working with somebody like that, maybe when there are early season struggles, on relying on what they've done in the past, because obviously the back of the baseball card for somebody like him speaks for itself, but also making adjustments, trying new things?
I think it's to remind him of things that he used to do, because a lot of time even players like him lose sight of who they are and the things that they need to do to get back on track. They start searching, overanalyzing, and even adding to things that, and a lot of times my focus is one thing to correct 5 instead of 5 things to correct 1. And that's, for me, simplifying stuff. And that's what this is all about, You know them, you know who they are, you know the kind of player they are. Is what are the things that we can remind them to get them going? Things that they have done. It's not things that they haven't done. It's things that they have done that is going to get them in the right direction.
We're joined here by Victor Rodriguez, Padres hitting coach, on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show here on the Padres radio network. Victor, you sort of alluded to it already. I want to ask you one more question about Xander, though. Can you peel back the curtain a little bit in the sense of, we hear Xander's a really hard worker, a guy who takes a lot of swings. What is the work ethic like for a guy like Xander?
Xander Bogaerts, he's learned to work. He's learned that is no shortcut to playing the game. To play the game the right way, you have to put the time and effort on the preparation, and that's swinging, either taking ground balls or other stuff. But Xander has always been very, from the young age, very into his preparation, very religious about his preparation, and he at times heard him that he does too much. and that's part of it. This guy he's been a winner. He's won some World Series, and he came here because he wanted to win.
Right.
And we have the team capable of doing that. So he want to be part of it. And a lot of times they want to do more instead of do less and really get back to who they are and simplify things. So, that's the part that you have to understand and respect. That this guy wanted to be good, want to help, and a lot of times they want to work a lot. And, it's just supervising and make sure that he focuses on quality instead of quantity.
That was Padres hitting coach Victor Rodriguez before today's game talking about Xander Bogaerts. Again, that was a longer conversation with Victor Rodriguez from earlier today, and we will continue to play some clips from that interview over the course of the next few days. We also talked about Manny Machado, Jake Cronenworth, and much, much more. So very good stuff there on Xander Bogaerts from Padres hitting coach Victor Rodriguez as the Padres get ready to take on the Colorado Rockies coming up at 6:40. Let's dive into our pitching matchup between Dylan Cease and Cal Quantrill.
Let's take a look at who's on the bump today with our starting pitching preview on the Padres Radio Network.
We take a look at our starting pitching matchup here today between Cease and Quantrill. Let's begin with Dylan Cease on the mound for the Padres. 28 years old. He's 5-2, a 2.19 ERA in 8 starts this season, 49 innings and a third, 60 strikeouts, 16 walks. Cease has the lowest opponent batting average in the majors this season at 128. He has the second lowest whip at 0.75. He ranks top 10 in lowest ERA and top 10 in strikeouts as well. Cease is coming off a brilliant outing last week against the Cubs. 7 innings, no runs given up. 1 hit, he struck out 12, walked 2 on 113 pitches. Last 2 starts combined against the Cubs and the Diamondbacks, 13 2/3 innings, 1 run given up, 4 hits, he struck out 20. Cease had a terrific outing against the Rockies in Denver on April 22nd. 7 innings, 1 earned run given up, 1 hit, struck out 9, and walked nobody. The arsenal for Dylan Cease, the 4-seam fastball, the slider, those 2 pitches represent more than 80% of his pitch mix, the knuckle curve, the sweeper, and the cutter as well. On the mound for the Rockies, right-hander Cal Quantrill, 29 years old this season, 2-3, a 3.94 ERA. Numbers have been pretty good. 8 starts, 45 2/3 innings, 31 strikeouts, 17 walks. Last start against the Giants, 6 innings, 1 earned run given up, 5 hits allowed. 2 starts to begin May, been really good. 13 2/3 innings, an 0.66 ERA, 14 strikeouts. He was drafted, remember, 8th overall by the Padres in 2016. Facing the Padres for the 3rd time in his career tonight. He's 1-0 with a 2.08 ERA and 2 career starts against San Diego. Both those came with Cleveland in 2022. Keep an eye on the splitter for Cal Quantrill. Opponents hitting just 115 against it. He's using it 32% of the time. And the 5-pitch mix for Quantrill, the sinker, the splitter, the cutter, the curveball, and the changeup. And that's a look at our starting pitching matchup tonight between Cal Quantrill and right-hander Dylan Cease. As we get ready for first pitch coming up here at 6:40 on the Padres Radio Network, Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building. I've got a very special guest with me today. It is Dane, a 14-year-old from the San Diego area, and Dane is an aspiring broadcaster himself. So, Dane, I wish you the best of luck. I'm going to put you on the radio right now. Your first opportunity on Major League Radio. Dane, give me a prediction for tonight's game. What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, Sam, that's a great question. I think the Padres win 5-1 tonight after they take advantage of the Rockies' struggling staff. And I think Manny Machado comes up big tonight. Possibly a home run, 2 RBI night.
There we go. Manny Machado, a home run, 2 RBI night. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
All right, Dane. I like the prediction. Well done. We'll see if you're right at the end of the night, Dane. Good luck to you. Thank you for coming and saying hello today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. That is Dane, 14 years old from the San Diego area. He's going to take my job pretty soon. I gotta watch out for Dane. Dane's great, and Dane, I wish you the best of luck with everything. You've been listening to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show on the Padres Radio Network. EcoWater SoCal, your water should be perfect. Find them online at EcoWaterSoCal.com. Padres enter this game a record of 22-22. Rockies are just 13-28 on the season. Padres, even though they lost last night, have won 8 of their last 12 games. We'll see if the Padres can bounce back here tonight with right-hander Dylan Cease on the mound. Thank you for listening to our pregame coverage. I'll be with you for our postgame show when we come back. Jesse and Tony have the full starting lineups, first pitch, and then all the play-by-play. Have fun tonight, everybody. We'll talk to you in just a little bit on the Padres Radio Network.